is to turn this into agar. So we have our BHI broth and we have our BHI agar. And the only difference between them is that we add agar to it, which helps to solidify it if we want to use it for deeps or slants or plates, which is what we usually make from them. So we talk about BHI plates or PCA plates or whatever. We're talking about nutrients in agar that have been poured into petri dishes, and we'll see what that is like in a bit. But so to add the agar, usually for making plates, we want to use a 1.5% of the amount of water that we're using, right? So if we're using 200 milliliters of water, 1.5% of that is 3 grams, because each milliliter is a gram. So we'll go ahead and weigh that out and come right back. And there we have it, 3 grams of our agar powder. It keeps jumping around again. It really doesn't matter. Just get it close enough within, 2 or 3 hundredths of a gram, and you're good. Really doesn't matter. Don't waste the time trying to get it super perfect. Okay, and then all you do is you add that. This, you do want to make sure that it's stirring when you add it, because it can clump up, and it very well might do that anyway. What we do with the agar to help it dissolve completely is we need to boil it. So we would turn on the heat, and not necessarily the stirring all the way up, but you do want the stirring happening. One thing to note about this is that if you go from 0 to 1150 to the very highest on its stirring speed, if it's just sitting there, well, a lot of times what will happen is that it'll spin so quickly, it'll have a resistance against the water because that's also not spinning, and it'll start just hopping around. In which case, if that happens to you, then you need to turn it all the way off, let the magnet just settle in place, and then turn it up slowly. So here we go, and this is all at max. Again, you really don't need to do that, especially with such a small volume, but we bring this up to boiling, and then we are ready to move on to the next step. Incidentally, one thing which I forgot, which you should always do, is label your media, right? You might be making several different media at a time. You might be making different volumes, in which case you would also write the volume on here, but you just write it on a piece of tape, put it on there. That way you know what's in there, and anyone else who finds it also does as well. Very important in any scientific environment, really. There are different types of tape you can use. We used to use masking tape for everything. There's some science tape that you can use. This is made to come off of glassware easily and be pretty resilient. But honestly, I just prefer to use painter's tape from the dollar store. You get a whole bunch of it for not a lot. It comes off really nicely, doesn't stick. So that's what you'll have out. You just write your medium and your initials on there, because each of you is making your own, and you're good to go.